Okay, it's 6:30, so why don't we get started? I would like to welcome everybody to the Community Board 8 Parks and Waterfront Committee. I am Felice Farber, co-chair of the committee, and I would like to welcome a new co-chair, Judy Schneider.
Thank you, Felice. Glad to be here.
So welcome, Judy. I'm excited tonight. We have a presentation by the Central Park Conservancy. But before we get started, Will, do you want to go through the usual spiel?
Yeah, so welcome everyone. If this is your first time joining us, or if you haven't joined us in a long time, I'll give you a few rules of the road. So you'll notice that everybody is muted, and you're going to stay muted throughout the duration of the meeting. The only folks who will be unmuted will be co-chairs, Felice and Judy, and any of the presenters. Following the presentation, the co-chairs will call on members of the public who wish to speak. You can participate by going to the reactions icon and pressing the raise hand button. It's not the wave or the thumbs up, those will disappear. Only press the raise hand button once. If you press it a second time, your hand will go back down. If you're calling in from the phone, it's *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute whenever you're called on. Be on the lookout for a prompt asking you to confirm unmuting once one of the co-chairs calls on you. If you're having problems, the chat is available for technical support only to help with Zoom software problems, not to ask questions or make comments to the co-chairs or presenters. They will never see those chats. If you're using an older version of Zoom, you'll need to go to the participants section where you'll find the raise hand feature there. And finally, we encourage you not to raise your hand, or your actual hand, or wave at the screen. We may miss you and not be able to see you, so chat me if you're having problems. I'm here to support, and I'll hand it back over to Judy and Felice.
Thanks, Will. So welcome everybody to the committee meeting. We have an exciting presentation tonight from the Central Park Conservancy, and I would like to turn it over to Lane Adonizio. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
That's right, yep.
To present the latest project.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Good to see you tonight. I'm Lane from the Central Park Conservancy. I'm here with my colleague, Bob Rumsey, who will also be presenting with me tonight. And we're here to talk about the North Meadow Center renovation. I just wanted to make a note. We actually are going to be going straight from this meeting to Community Board 11, which is like, this is the upside of Zoom. We don't have to get in a cab and get up there. But we're going to try to keep this as concise as possible, answer any questions, and we're hoping to be to wrap up by like 6:45 to go over to Community Board 11. The North Meadow Center, I'll locate it for you. For those who are not familiar, is a facility located in the center of the park, north of the 97th Street Transverse Road, on the south side of the North Meadow ball fields. It's a building that houses park operations and public program staff. It also includes public restrooms, and then the site includes recreation courts and operation space. A little bit of history. The facility was built in 1910 as an operational facility to support the maintenance of the park. It was a storage yard and a shed and stable with large manure pits on either side. We will not be bringing those back, and a refuse incinerator. So it was constructed in the early part of the 20th century as kind of a vital operations facility.
Lane, are you supposed to be sharing a PowerPoint?
Yes. Okay, I'm so sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, thank you for interrupting me. I'm going now to the, are you seeing it now? No.
Yes.
Yes,
you are?
The 1910 survey.
Okay, so quickly I'll very quickly kind of repeat what this is: the location, 97th Street Transverse, North Meadow Ball Fields, the location, the building, the recreation courts, and operational space. This is the survey of the original facility as built in 1910, storage yard, stables and sheds, manure pits. This is the earliest image we have of the facility. This is in 1919, looks a little different than it does now. This is in that, that courtyard, that sort of storage yard area. And what you're actually seeing here is the Parks Department at this time was giving away dead wood as firewood. So this just happens to be the earliest image that we have. A few more images. These are all in 1934. Right before a kind of major renovation. You can see it's used as a storage yard. There's this sort of central breezeway through the building, through the courtyard to the rear side. This is a shed that had been added at some point after the original construction that's no longer there. Looking towards the northeast corner and towards the eastern wing, and there's that shed. In the mid-1930s, in 1934, Robert Moses became Parks Commissioner and developed a plan, and in 1935 redeveloped this area of the park with an emphasis on outdoor recreation facilities. So it's at this time that the ball fields that we know now were added. There were also handball courts added, horseshoe courts. And at this time, the building was renovated to include public restrooms, as well as some space for recreational programs. It's also at this time that the building was updated with a brick facade. Boiler rooms were added. So it was the first time it was really kind of converted from a shed facility to a heated legitimate building at this time. This is the west wing. A door was added to facilitate separate access for operations from some of the public recreation and public restroom space on the other side. This is a view of the courtyard in 1936, still being used for park operations, and you can see the brick facade different from that kind of probably stucco facade that was the original facade. And a 1965 bird's eye view just showing the handball courts that had been added in the 30s, the baseball courts. You also kind of get a sense just at this point of the kind of management challenge and deterioration of the park. You can kind of see the landscapes are getting pretty ragged at this time. So this is in the mid-1960s. It's in 1980 that the Central Park Conservancy, our organization, was founded to partner with the city to restore the landscapes and kind of bring them back to health and to life. What we also in the late 80s, early 90s, we established at this facility where we have an operations presence. We also established some recreation programs. So the most kind of long-term and popular among them being our basketball clinics, and we hand out basketballs at this facility. So, but in addition, it is, in addition to running recreation programs out there, it is a place where there has been continuous operations use of the building. And as we have over the past 40 plus years been restoring the park, and our staff has grown to maintain the restored park, our organization's need for space has continued to grow. So we've, been squeezing, more and more people in and into the facility, and it hasn't really kind of been fully renovated for for a long time, and also just could be better optimized to accommodate the staff that we have in that space. So the purpose of the project, first, renovate the public facilities. So that's both the recreation courts and the restrooms. Renovate and optimize really vitally needed park operations space to maintain the north end of the park. It's, as I said, one of our two main facilities for operations to maintain the park. And then finally, site work to support and screen park operations. We'll get into that in more detail. This really relates primarily to our green fleet, which is our fleet of electric, primarily golf carts. Since 2010, we have been converting both converting larger vehicles as much as possible to smaller carts, and also converting gas-powered to electric vehicles. And in 2016, we made a commitment and totally, completely replaced all of our gas golf carts with electric carts. So this being one of our two primary facilities, we are in need of site work to kind of support that fleet of electric carts. To go through the public recreation component of the project. This is the existing site plan. On the north side of the building are 12 handball courts. There's also a kind of an undefined asphalt area here. This was in the 1930s when it was developed under Moses, was horseshoe courts, but people don't seem to play horseshoes anymore. So it's kind of an unused area at this time. The basketball courts that I showed you earlier, these are 3 junior courts. We also do have striped a full-size basketball court. Until recently, this area was largely used as a parking area for parks vehicles, conservancy, and largely Parks Department vehicles. And with our kind of reconfiguration of the space, and also some trading of spaces with the Parks Department, with this project, we'll be kind of completing the process of no longer having parking here. So in the past, we only used this basketball court. We would have to clear it out and use it like for special events and tournaments. So part of this project is to fully dedicate this area to a full-size basketball court. In addition, the public restrooms currently located kind of at the far corners of the buildings. We also have our public program staff who run the basketball clinics, hand out basketballs and other equipment. And then our park operations staff are in these areas. We also have a multi-purpose room, and this is a room that we use for staff training, for volunteer training, for community meetings, for community events, this room. And one of the goals is to address sort of this not ideal circulation where in order to get to the restrooms, people have to kind of go through past the basketball courts on either side, and they're kind of hard to find and not very centrally located. So I'm going to quickly just take you through a visual tour of the site, looking first across the basketball courts and then on this side at the handball court side. So starting here and working around this way. This is the basketball courts, the 3 junior courts. You see the fence over here. On the other side is the area that is that had been primarily used for parking, and that's being phased out. This is that area. So you see the striped basketball court. And then on the other side, this is on the east side of the handball courts. There's a row of chess and checkers tables, this kind of deteriorated asphalt area, and the handball courts over here. And then just turning for a dead-on view of the handball courts. One of the things that you'll notice is that these folks aren't playing handball, they're playing pickleball. Pickleball is a sport that many of us, I can say at least I had not heard of probably 2 to 3 years ago, but it has exploded in terms of popularity. So one of the goals in this project is to, without expanding the footprint of the courts, to try to accommodate the increased use by pickleball, and at the same time balancing that with the handball use. You can see that that the pickleball players are using the handball courts, and we think that there's some multi-use possibility, potential there, but we're balancing it out between the 2 groups. So the proposed layout and the scope, on the south side, repaving the basketball courts, making this one a dedicated basketball court, permanently removing any parking or vehicles from there, mirroring the fence that's on this side with a fence on that side. On the north side, the handball courts will be repainted, the walls will be refurbished. And then we are proposing to, in that asphalt area, to add 2 dedicated pickleball courts. We're also talking with all of the user groups, and we'll be kind of continuing to work through exactly how we potentially multi-stripe some of these courts over here. And as I said, that's kind of balancing between the users group. Relocating the chess and checkers tables over closer to the building, bike racks here, drinking fountains throughout. And then moving the restrooms, which are located currently in the kind of far corners of the building, to the center of the building, and the public programs staff to the center, so that it's all more centrally located along this sort of spine and central access, and that way the park operations is kind of to the outer edges of the facility. So that's the recreation. Just briefly on the building, fairly straightforward. It's mostly an interior reconfiguration to first, as I said, relocate the public services, the restrooms, the multipurpose room, and our public program staff to the center, and keep the park operations on the outside. In order to accommodate that, there are several, you see here circled, 3 windows that will need to become doors to serve the circulation for those uses and the necessary egress. And then this is those windows becoming doors, the restrooms and public program and multipurpose at the center. And then the scope of work on the building exterior is fairly straightforward: masonry cleaning, repairs, repointing, roof repairs, in-kind window replacement. And here's just an example you see of this is the kind of the major kind of change in terms of windows becoming doors, or a window here on the east wing becoming a door, and it mirrors the door on the other side. On the north side of the building, this is the side that faces the handball courts. These are the 2 windows that will become doors, and again, matching an existing door. That's it for the building, and I'm going to turn it over to Bob Rumsey to go through the site work. Bob, do you want me to stop sharing so that you can run your own, drive your own show?
Yes,
okay.
yes, thanks. Hi, everybody. My screen up here. Can everybody see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to speak about the site work improvements related to the park operations on the building exterior. Just to get your bearings here, here's an aerial bird's eye view with the North Meadow Center here, the 97th Street Transverse Road down at the south end, and the facility surrounded by the ball fields, and then in the context of the north end of the park. Currently, there's a limited park operations presence here, servicing the north end of the park, but it's heavily supplemented with vehicles and staff coming from the West 79th Street yard. Our intent is to redistribute a portion of the park operations component here to more effectively support the north end of the park. And Lane talked about this, I'm just reiterating. And it will help to decentralize the use of the West 79th Street yard. So beginning in the last decade, we began the conversion of these larger gas-powered vehicles like the ones on the left with electric carts shown on the right here. They're more nimble on the paths, smaller footprint, obviously have environmental and noise benefits. Most of this electric fleet is currently located at the West 79th Street yard, and they traverse across the park on a regular basis, servicing the entire park. The move to this redistribution of these to the north end will help to service not only the north end, but it will also help to decrease cross-park traffic. So I'll start with the existing conditions site plan, and I'll take you through the proposal. Again, this is the building here, the transverse road along the bottom of the page, the ball fields up here toward the top. The areas on the west and east side, the west side being here, the east side being here, are really very utilitarian in nature and have remained that way. And they actually include boiler rooms that are below grade, accessed via these stairwells that exist in the landscape. And there's things like irrigation pumps and fire hydrants. So they service that utilitarian nature. The current operations use is really on the west side, and activities include, carts charging area. I'll show you some photographs of this, and then a sort of storage area here. I'm going to start with a series of photographs starting at number 4, going around 5, 6, 7 to the east side. This is the existing sort of parking area that's really become a storage area used by our operations team. Going around on the west side here, you can see where my cursor is looking back at the west side of the building. There's a small electric fleet that exists now. We also have some electric carts that are, parking within the front court area as well. And then this is from the north side, looking back into the space. You can see equipment and machinery that really supports primarily the North Meadow ball fields, but other parts of the park as well. And then going over to the east side of the building, number 7 here, looking directly at the east side, you see we have a small utility area here and a storage area that's surrounded by a fence. And this is, you get a sense of these stairwells that actually go down below grade to support these boiler rooms. Those are the existing conditions. So looking at our proposed solution, our site improvements, the primary goal here is to define, contain, and then screen the park operations on both sides of the building. And the goal of creating this back of house operations that can coexist with the recreation components. And these utilitarian spaces will be really tucked in along the west and east sides of the building and screened with planting improvements. So I'll take you through each side separately, but just the big picture is there is electric cart charging on both sides. And the storage containers will be distributed throughout these areas. Planting improvements will be done on the entire perimeter to both help ground the building and screen these areas. Specifically on the west side, starting down at this southwest corner, this parking area will be reclaimed for electrical vehicle charging, standard size vehicles here. There'll be an access path into the cart charging area that's formed here on the west side. Storage containers here. And that access path that I showed you in the photograph will go away. I'll actually show you a rendering of that. We're going to actually create a buffer here to screen this area from the park path. So I'm going to go to those renderings. So this is, again, that same photograph that I showed you, this access path coming out into the park. This area will be defined and screened, defined with a fence and then screened. And ultimately, with mature plantings, this is what it will look like. It will really kind of disappear. And as I said, will be tucked in. Coming up the other side of the path from some of the southwest, we have these 2 bench areas. This is the existing conditions view. Again, this area will be defined with a fence and screened with plantings. So then headed back to the plan, I'll go through the east side. So the east side also have this cart charging area along the east side of the building. It will be accessed by a travelway coming off this northern path that will be formed by moving that chain link fence inward 10 feet so we can have a travel lane into this to access this area. I'll show you a few images that will better explain this, but in this sort of southeast corner of the building, this grade is much lower than the surrounding grade here and here. And so we have to build this area up to actually gain more use and to create a circulation path into the south end of the building. We'll do that through the use of a retaining wall. So this is that southern end of the building and its existing condition. Lane showed you these are existing windows here. You can see how this area up here is elevated high, and so is this. Our proposal to create space here, but then connect that space into the building through these doors into locker rooms and restrooms. We create this passageway using a small low retaining wall. That retaining wall will mimic the character of the building. We'll actually use salvage stone that were taken out to create these openings to help create this wall. It will wrap around this side. It will also match the existing wall that surrounds the basketball courts. It will wrap around this building, and then this small retaining wall will capture the cart charging areas. It'll be a more utilitarian concrete wall. This is an unfiltered view just to show you what that structure will look like. And then ultimately it will be planted out and screened. And then this is another view, kind of an oblique view looking out from a 45-degree angle, a little bit further out of that. Here is the south facade. And then you can kind of get a sense of what that'll look like with the wall and the plantings. And that's the end of the presentation. So
Thank you.
Would you like me to stop sharing at this point?
Sure. Now, let's go to any questions that folks from the audience might have.
And just a reminder, you can go to the reactions icon at the bottom of your screen where you'll find the raise hand feature. And press that and your hand will go up and we'll be able to call on you.
Thank you. So why don't we, the first person is Michelle Birnbaum. Can we unmute Michelle?
Hi, thank you. And thank you very much for the presentation. I'm actually here as a representative, although I wasn't asked to be, from the Landmarks Committee. Our co-chairs know about this, but when I saw this item on the agenda, I had reached out to these parks co-chairs and the Landmarks Committee co-chairs, because in the past, when anything had been done to Central Park, it routinely became sort of a joint meeting between Parks and Landmarks so that we could weigh in on that, or at least monitor it in that way. So I did get a response telling me that that will happen in the future, but because there's nobody here from Landmarks represented tonight, I thought it would be important for me to be here so that I could ask a couple of questions that specifically relate to preservation. Your presentation was excellent, very clear. I understood it. And so I just want to clarify and make sure that from a preservation point of view, that I understand what's happening. As a general question, and that beautiful stone building being the real focus for me, that's being preserved, but you are going to have two cuts from window to door in that building. Was it in that stone building?
Yes.
In that stone building.
Yes, three, two on the north side and one on the south side.
And you said because you need circulation, you need entree. What is that building exactly being used for? Refreshment.
So the wings on the outside are operation space. The central space is restrooms and public programs and a multi-purpose space. And so both the in reconfiguring to move the operation space out to the outsides and optimize the operation space, we're configuring it so we get as many lockers as we can, so we can get as many staff as we can fit in there, and reconfiguring to improve the flow, as well as egress requirements require additional doors. We need a door on the south side, which is the one that we were showing near the electric carts, the last one we looked at, in order to get staff into locker rooms there and egress. And then on the north side, the interior flow is changing, and so we need the access. I will say that there's been changes to those openings over time. From the beginning to yes. So not all the windows and doors are not all original. There's been kind of incremental changes as the building, the use of the building has kind of evolved and changed in multiple uses over time. And we are working very closely with the Landmarks Commission staff on review of that.
So you're seeing somebody on the staff level.
Oh yeah, this is going, and Landmarks staff has Landmarks Commission has binding jurisdiction over the building work, and it is advisory over the site work. And
Good.
Public Design Commission is binding over the site work.
Understood. So from what I perceive, that's really the only major change to the exterior of any of these buildings.
Correct.
The first building that you showed, which was started as stucco and converted to brick.
Right.
Are you doing anything external to that? Anything that's changing that dramatically?
Not changing, it's just the windows are being replaced in kind. We're doing we're doing masonry repairs. There are two doors that are going to become windows, but they're not, there's not a significant design change. We're basically just fixing them in place.
So you're filling that, the extra footage or inches, you're filling it back in brick in kind? In other words,
There actually is no
little-
infill, so the opening will remain an opening, and it just won't be a door that will open. It'll just be closed, it'll just always be fixed in place, like a full-size window.
Oh, so it'll look like a window, won't look like brickwork.
Correct.
Rendering of that?
I don't have a rendering here, and it's a fairly minor visual change. It's really, imagine something that's a door that the opening is staying the same. So we're just, because we are not going to be using that door, we're just
No, I
closed,
understand. I understand the concept.
Yeah.
I just wondered visually, what are the materials that you are using to make it a door that is no longer a door? You have to have fill-in at the bottom, unless you're not doing fill-in. You're just
we're not,
you're just not filling in. You're just leaving it.
correct.
All right. I had some concern about the chess tables because of those are the old original beautiful chess tables. And you say you are moving them.
Mm-hmm.
But can I assume, I hope, that you're not changing them, altering them, doing anything to them, but keeping them as is?
I don't know that though, when I say relocate, I don't know that they can literally be relocated. They're being replaced in kind.
Oh, how can you replace them in kind? Are you fabricating them?
Yes.
So it's going to be stone with the configuration of a chest or
Yeah.
chest. Oh,
They're concrete. So
Oh, so
to remove concrete is,
They're a cast concrete product, and they're fabricated on a regular basis. So we can.
yeah, they're not unique. They're something that we could, just like a wooden concrete bench, we can, you can replace it easier than you can try to tear it out and move it.
So this is a fabrication in kind. What will it?
Yes.
Okay. When was the last time it was fabricated? How old are these? Is my question really.
On those, I couldn't tell you offhand. I'm sorry.
Okay, those are my questions. I appreciate it. That was really my thing, that I just want to make sure that the stone facade of that building remains intact. You're doing just roof repair.
Correct.
And everything else is being done in kind.
Yes.
And otherwise you're relocating operational materials and the courts, which have been changed over the years, I imagine. Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Let's move on to Boaz Galil.
I love this place. Like you said, I've been playing pickleball. I didn't know the sport exists until recently. And yeah, so my only question is regarding I missed the first part. When does the construction start, and is the restroom, bathroom are going to be closed during the construction?
Yeah. So our goal is to begin construction this fall, hopefully by September, October. We think it's about a between 12 and 18 month construction period, and that timeline will firm up once we get the the contractor in place and work out the schedule. We cannot provide replacement restrooms. We will be providing signage to the nearest restrooms, which are, there's a restroom at East 100th Street outside of Bentheim Playground, and then over at the tennis courts. So we'll be providing signage directing to those.
This is a different macro problem in New York, that there is not enough public restroom. I don't know if you can put some kind of chemical, something temporary, but yeah. It's
Yeah, no, I
it's a
understand.
problem. It's a problem.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is a spot where you're closer to a couple of bathrooms than you are in a lot of places in the park. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's move on to Barbara Rutter.
Hi, very quick question. How exactly do you get there? You go from east to west. You'll go to 97th Street transverse?
Barbara, are you saying directions to get to the facility?
Right.
From the east side, you would enter the park at the East 97th Street entrance, and there's a path that just goes straight across, and takes you right past the East Meadow on your right. Then you cross the drive, and then you're at the North Meadow.
It's more on the west side than on the east side?
It's right smack in the middle.
Is it? Great. I'm
Yeah.
going to have a separate question, and this is for somebody that gets lost all the time. So any way that we in the park can put little signs to say east, west, north, south periodically, or East 59th, East 63rd Street or something along the way? I get so lost every time I go to the park, and I've only been living here my whole life.
I know, and wayfinding is, but in terms of what you're talking about, though, just so that if you look at any lamppost in the park, and this is like just a helpful, it's not designed for this, but this is how it's done, is that the lampposts will have E or W on it, and then we'll have 2 digits, and those 2 digits represent the street. So like if it's 67, if it's E67, you're at East 67. If it's E02, you're at East 102.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, thank you. I don't know if it will help me, but
try it and let me know.
Google, you can't use Google.
You can. I do find their maps are kind of not totally reliable. I mean, you can try it, but I would take it with a grain of salt.
I just want to say that is probably the best tidbit I have gotten on finding my way around the park. That is something to definitely be advertised. So Barbara, great question. That is
for a very net person in terms of directions.
I too have gotten, I'm not sure lost, but a little disoriented as to where I was in the park.
I have a couple of questions, Felice. My usual one, Lane, is will you make sure that Will has both of your presentations?
Yeah.
So that we can have them. And if you do that tomorrow, we'd appreciate that. And the other one is, what is the cost of this project?
So the total cost, it's about a $20 million project. That there is a lot that you don't see in terms of presenting the plans, and that we have to bring in the infrastructure, particularly the electric infrastructure for the cart charging stations. We one of the things that's really limiting us in terms of the number of carts we have up there is the electrical infrastructure up there right now. And then there is a significant amount of drainage work that has to be done as well. So that's included in that number.
So are you saying that when you get that put in, you will buy more electric carts?
Not immediately. We actually, I mean, there'll be a little bit of extra capacity, but we're also redistributing. There's a lot of our staff who have to report to the 79th Street yard just because that's where we have the electric capacity. And so, but ideally they would work out of the North Meadow facility. That's where they're working, and it would be less traveling across the park from that for them. So there'll be a little bit of extra capacity beyond that. But for a little bit of, for I think a few more carts than we have now, but it's not all of the carts are going to be new carts.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions, Judy?
No, that's it for me. I think it was a good presentation. I think they probably would like a resolution from us.
But before we get there, I think Michelle Birnbaum has another question.
Yes, thank you very much, Felice. It was about lighting. I forgot to ask. I'm always concerned about lighting. Are you upgrading the lighting, changing the lighting? And also, are these facilities usable at night? Have they been used at night? And are they proposed to be used at night?
The recreation facilities are not, and none of the ball fields or recreation facilities in the park are lit at night.
Okay, and there's no plan for that here. With terms, in terms that you have to upgrade the electrical grid, will this all be done underground?
Yes.
Okay, so with no disturbance to the exteriors of the buildings or to any of the original infrastructure?
Bob, can you answer that? I'm not sure. Sorry.
I was muted. Can you repeat the question? I was trying to get myself unmuted. I apologize.
No problem. No, I was saying you have to bring in additional electrical infrastructure.
Right.
I just was clarifying where that's going to be, if it's mainly underground, and
Absolutely.
hopefully it will not disrupt any of the original architecture.
Oh no,
you have to run cables through.
No.
Facades or anything like that.
It'll be completely invisible underground.
Okay.
Nothing will be applied to the building.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
And Barry, do you have a question?
Not so much a question, but a statement. I'd like to put a motion on the floor, and if it's seconded, speak to it. Move to approve the presentation as delivered. Is there a second?
Second.
I just want to say thank you, Lane, for a very, very comprehensive and dedicated presentation, and to you, Bob, also. You're doing great work. Keep up the great work. We're happy. I'm happy to support you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who wants to speak to the motion, or should we go to a vote?
Call the question.
Okay, great. Is there anyone opposed or abstaining? Okay.
Raise your hand if you'd like to vote no, or abstain, or not vote for cause.
Seeing none, this is approved. And just to get the members who are here voting for that, can you just read that out, Will?
Yeah, of course. So Felice and Judy, Barbara Rudder, Barry Schneider, public member, Irma Torres, public member, Michelle Birnbaum, Sahar Hussein, Sharon Pope Marshall. I think that's everyone. If I missed you, raise your hand. Nope, seeing nobody else.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Lane and Bob. This was a great presentation, and we really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Take
Thank you
care.
so much. Appreciate it.
And Judy, do you want to handle the next section?
I think now is time to hear. Sheena is here, our district manager for Parks in Community District 8. Sheena, what good news have you brought us tonight?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So the first, I would like to introduce my level 2. I just received the number supervisor. So she's the level 2 over 6-8 in District 15. Her name is Lori Knowles. She's currently on this at this meeting now. If you want to unmute me, so Lori, you want to mute me so Lori can introduce herself?
Well, we can.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Lori Knowles. I'm working with Sheena Kaufman. Sheena's my manager. I'm quite new to District 6, 8, and 15. I was assigned approximately 3 weeks ago. Prior to the service, I was over at Randall's Island for 6 years. Prior to that, I was in Parks Enforcement, serving as a park supervisor since 1989. It is my pleasure and honor to join you tonight.
Well, we welcome you, and we're happy to have you in our district, Lori. Thank you for joining, and you're welcome to all our parks meetings. We meet the second Thursday of the month normally.
Thank you very much. Will do.
Lori, just put your email address in the chat, and
Certainly.
I'll send it to Will if he doesn't get it.
Certainly.
All right. Okay, thank you. So
Thank you.
I would like to give some updates to everyone. The city pools will all open on June 28th. John Jay Pool will open from starting at 11 o'clock and ending at 7 p.m. as all of the pools will. At this present time, we don't have any confirmation that lap swimming or any other programs will take place this season. For our capital projects, Tramway Plaza, the punch list consisted of replacing the plants, fixing the mismatched tiles, and adding 2 Big Bellies trash receptacles. So far, most of the plants have been replaced. The tiles, I'm not sure. I was there today. I'm not sure where there was a mismatch. So I have to speak with Mark to see of the area, and then I can confirm you if that was done. And the 2 Big Bellies have not been put down in place. The capital project John Jay sitting area was completed last month, and the public was received well by the public. At the request of a councilman members, a minister's office, we put 3 picnic tables in the area. The East River Esplanade from 68th to 70th Street. The project was completed last month. However, there's a construction fence at 70th Street, at the 70th Street location. The fence will remain until the hospitals of special service install a ramp to the Esplanade at 71st Street. Parks is hoping that this will be done by the middle of the month. The Honey Locust project is now 40% completed. The anticipation completion date is 1/17/2023. Parks now have summer free events now on our website, movie nights throughout the city, a lot in our District 8. And there are free concerts as well that's on the website. We have volunteer projects that was hosted so far within our district, which was at 24 Sycamore and at St. Catherine's Playground. We're going to continue at St. Catherine's Playground with more volunteer projects, as well as the others throughout the District 8 areas. And I think that's all I got. Any questions, anyone?
I have a question if you don't mind.
Sure.
You mentioned the East River Esplanade. Can you just, I think I missed that. What was the issue there?
Well, the project from 68th to 70th was completed. But we have the fence up at 70th Street until the hospital special services installs a ramp at the 71st Street bridge. So that the fence that's there, we're going to keep up until they install the ramp so you can be able to go over.
I think we heard this, Felice, when they presented the Kellen Tower. They told us that they would be building a bridge so that people would be able to get over, and it hasn't been completed yet. I guess they're in the process of doing it. Maybe I can check with the hospital and see if we can get a completion date from them on when the bridge will be done.
If I could just ask another question.
Sure.
I know you've talked a bit about John Jay being finished early, and that's pretty exciting, that the seating area is done. I had reached out to you the question about the condition of the trees and the park, and you said in John Jay Park, and you said you were going to look into that. I was just wondering if you had an update on that.
Well, we did do a lot of pruning of the trees. You're talking about on the pool deck, right?
Yes.
So they are going to do that probably, I'm going to say probably by next week sometime. I spoke to our forestry unit. They are going to do it. They just had to wait for the construction to be completed inside the pool area around the entry level of the fence and an entry level of where you come out from the pool, from the locker room to the pool deck. So they're going to do the trees. They're gonna cut some back and remove some. The exact amount I do not know. I will have to wait till they get on site. But they are,
Okay.
that is going to happen.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You sure?
And the lap swim is dependent on getting enough staff.
I don't know if it's going to happen anywhere. So far, we've been told no, it's not going to happen. And that might be true because of the lifeguard issue, but I don't know if that's for certain.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sheena, can I go back to tramway for a second? Do we have any kind of an approximate date for the big bellies?
No, I'll speak to Steve about that. Because that was probably already in place prior to me getting here. So I will speak to Steve to see where where we at with the big bellies. But I know they were on order. I know that. Because
it's been quite a mess there. I mean, I was there one day when Mercedes with a helper was there, and she was doing an incredible job. But the big bellies would really make a huge difference there. Also, did we find out anything about the watering of the plants?
I think
you could put that on your list.
I will put that on my list. I think Mark was trying, but I'm going to put, oh, sorry. I'm going to put that water in on my list and alpha and big bellies.
Okay. I think you dropped your phone. I think it's,
yes.
Your car is interesting.
And the big bellies. I'll find out. And Felice, I did have that on my notes. I just never sent it about the forestry thing. I just got caught up and I forgot to send it to you, but they are going to do it and I'll let you know. I'll let Will know when they start.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, does anyone, I see hands are up, but does anyone have any more questions for Sheena before I call on the other people? Okay, Sahar.
Hi, Sheena, how are you? Thanks.
I'm fine.
Yes, hi. Just wanted to know about the swimming pool at at John Jay. Would there be any rules concerning because of COVID? Would there be any requirements for those that are going to use it?
Any rules pertaining COVID?
Yeah, just for a safety matter or anything. Is there anything or there's nothing required? Anyone can come in and use the swimming pool?
The city hasn't issued anything as of yet to me about anything pertaining to COVID. Or I haven't heard of anything, even on the news. I haven't heard anything.
Can I step in here a minute? We have a pool an outdoor pool in our building, Sahar, and they put so much chlorine, as I'm sure the public pools are too, in it that it would kill any COVID related. So I don't think we have to worry about COVID in the public pools. If you're going to take a child to swim there, I just don't think that's a problem.
The other question I had related again to was, is there going to be like a maximum that would be allowed again because of COVID? Like if there's a maximum number that can be in the pool?
I'm sure there probably would be if they had some issues with COVID, but so far I don't think so. Long as we have the required amount of lifeguards on duty, if we have the required amount of lifeguards on duty, every pool has a maximum amount. Every pool. So if the pool opens for fully, the maximum amount, as you walk into the pool, you will see the maximum amount of people that's allowed.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Barbara, do you have a question for Sheena?
Yep. Two very quick ones. First of all, Judy, I forgot to say that welcome, and we're in such good hands. So I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Two quick questions. One is again about the Esplanade. Does that mean you can't walk along there, that it's blocked? You have to, going from south to north, you have to stop at 68th Street, or will there be a place even though there isn't a ramp? Can we continue walking along it?
No, because the fence is there.
Okay, so that's what I want. The second thing, I sat at the street fair, the community board's table at the street fair. One mother was begging that something done at John Jay Park. The playground gets muddy and flooded and so on. Do you know about it? Are there any plans to do anything about it? And
well, we did have a drainage problem there. That's why we had to close the park down for a day or two, because of the drains. So we cleared the drains out. So we should be fine for a while now. If it gets back, if it accumulates again, we'll bring the truck in to drain the drains again. But a big part of the mud, it's the sand.
Yes.
In order to stop a lot of the muddy conditions, is to really rid the sand. And a lot of parents like the sand, with the children, so the children can be able to play. So I don't want to take the sand out and then we have another issue. So
the problem is really that it's near the sprays, that the sand and sprays. Yeah, it isn't just the sand, it isn't just the sprays, but it's both, I guess, right? Am I right?
Yes, it's a combination of how, and I think it was kind of designed that way, probably a poor design, but yeah. In the future, I don't see that could be, we could probably take that up in the future of if we decide to do the area over again in the future.
If I see this, I'm sorry, if I see this mother again, I would say it was a drain problem, not a construction problem or anything else, but a drainage problem that has been fixed.
It really was that particular thing was a drainage problem, but it's not to say that some muddy conditions in the playground area won't occur again, because the kids use the water with the sand to build castles and things like that.
I know.
So those take place.
Thank you.
Okay,
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Sheena, for coming tonight. We appreciate it. And thank you for introducing Lori. And we look forward to working with her.
Judy, you have one more hand up.
I know, but I know that Mubin does not, her comment does not pertain to Sheena. So if Sheena can stay or go, and now I'll call on Mubin. I know what she wants to speak about. Go ahead, Mubin.
Thank you, Judy. I echo everyone else's comments. Welcome, Judy. It's nice to see you in this position. Hello, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here to talk a little bit about upcoming events at Rupert Park. And Sheena is, of course, very instrumental in that, so I'm glad that she's there. We have an upcoming event, as Judy mentioned, on Wednesday, June 29th. It's in the evening. This is a really fun event. There is no work involved. We just want, the community in District 8, in District 5 to come out and, participate and enjoy. The neighbors, the residents of Rupert Towers and all the neighboring buildings. We want them to come out. It'll be a live jazz band. We would really invite everyone at CB8 as well to come out with their friends and family. And, after work, hopefully it'll be a pleasant day. There will be complimentary refreshments, and the band will play for a good hour and a half from 5 to 6:30. As soon as we have final approval on everything from New York City Parks, we will email the flyer to you, Judy and Felice, and would really appreciate it if you could put it in your weekly update and maybe your social media post.
Okay, we will ask Will to help us with that. Thank you very much for coming and telling us about that.
Thank you, and I look forward to seeing you all there.
I'm sure it'll be a very successful event. I see Boaz has his hand up again. Go ahead, Boaz.
Two related questions, comments. One regarding Rupert Park. I understand that the dog run that is currently in Rupert Park, my understanding that the dog run was legal. I mean, was part of the park. and I saw yesterday, actually, first time I saw like rangers, police from the park that basically told the dog owners that have the dogs running over there that there is no dog run in Rupert Park. So my question is the dog run is informal, not formal? I want to understand.
Well, let me tell you where we're at. I'm waiting to speak to either the commissioner or Steve Simon about making that a temporary dog run, if they will agree to that, since the new park layout is going to have a dog run.
But that's my question. That's exactly my question.
But I need an answer from them. And I've been trying to reach them over the last week and have not been able to. But I will make it my business to get in touch with them in the coming days. And Boaz, if you could give Will your email or your phone number or something, I will call you and give you personally the results before the next board meeting.
But before that, I want, my point is that if currently the dog run is there is no real dog run in Rupert Park, how come the new park, the new design has a dog run?
Because they presented two plans to us for the new Rupert Park, one with a dog run, one without. The community was here, we voted on it, and the majority of the votes, overwhelmingly, I think.
I was there. I remember that originally people came and say, right now the park has a dog run, so it makes sense to have in the new park a dog run as well. But
that's what they're planning on. That's the design. That's what they're going to build, is a park with the dog run.
Okay.
So that's why we want to find out from them if we can put up temporary signs. Sheena was good enough to fence off the area and then the north area, and then somebody cut it. So it would certainly make it would seem like a good place for people to bring their dogs now on a temporary basis, if we could get that signage. But we have to get approval. We can't just go ahead and do that without parks approval. So we're working on it, and things don't always happen overnight with parks.
I get it. My next comment is regarding the bathrooms. So by the way, I'm playing in that area. I didn't want to say anything. I'm actually playing in that area quite a lot. I know where it is. If anyone wants, I can show them. It's a nice area where they're doing the construction. Again, it's 18 months, so it's going to take them like I don't know, probably 2 years. And they have a bathroom over there that not only the people that use the facility use the bathroom. Visitors of Central Park are using the bathroom, and already, if you go during the weekends, now that there are lines to the bathroom. So the fact that they are closing the bathroom, it's a problem. I wanted to raise it to you guys if you can do something about it. And regardless, there is a crisis. It's my crisis. There is not enough public bathroom and restroom in Upper East Side, and funny enough, I saw that there is actually someone, and I'll pass it in the chat, Will, if you can send it to the community chairs. I saw that there is a proposal for local law to increase the number of public bathrooms in the city. I don't know exactly how they are going to do it, but I will pass it. If you can do your magic and sign a letter for support it will be great, because first of all, we have for people that live in the Upper East Side and we go to the parks, we don't have available public bathrooms, specifically those with small kids. The second issue, we have the homeless issue in camping everywhere, and they need public bathroom as well. So yeah, that's it for my end.
Well, thank you very much. We'll follow up on both of those. You said you sent that article to Will? Because I don't think I've seen it, so I'll be interested, and I'm sure Felice will in reading it.
Yes.
Is there anyone else who has Will, anybody else's hand that I don't see?
No.
Sheena, can I just ask you, so I'm glad to hear that park rangers were out at Rupert Park, because the whole park really has been taken over as a dog run. Is that part of some consistent enforcement effort? Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Well, on our past meetings, we have been talking about and I've been getting emails about the dogs, the aggressionism of some of the dogs in Rubik. So I've been speaking about it with our PEP units. And as soon as they were able to come on a little earlier, they were able to make some rounds about, to a lot of the areas, John Jay, Sutton Park, Carl Schultz, Rubik Park. These are the ones that were really high on the list. So they're doing what we're asking them to do. In fairness to Rubik, because there is not an official dog run, I don't see that they issued any tickets or anything. They just was speaking to the people with the dogs off the leash. And to answer his question about the restroom, Rubik doesn't have a restroom as of yet. So they're still looking into that with the restroom. So, because I think he mentioned there was a restroom at Rubik, but it's not. There's no restrooms at Rubik at all.
Well, hopefully we'll get the extra funding needed to.
Correct.
When the park's reconstructed, they'll put in a restroom there.
Right.
Or comfort station, I should say.
Comfort station. But we're doing good with trying to monitor some of the areas, and our PEP unit is doing really good with that.
Thank you. I really appreciate the effort.
Yeah. Well, if no one has any other old or new business, I guess we can entertain a motion to adjourn. Michelle, you have your hand up.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
And I see Sharon has seconded.
Okay, great. So we'll see you all next month in July. And Felice, do you want to talk about the July meeting?
Yes. So I would encourage everybody to take a look at the district needs statement that is on the community board website. And maybe Will, you could put up a link to it. In preparation for the district needs process. So every October, each community board submits their capital and expense priorities. And so what we'd like to do is really have a conversation early on within each committee to talk about what those priorities are, both expense and capital. And so in July, we'll be at the July committee meeting, we'll be reviewing the district needs statement for parks and what's in it for parks, and review kind of what's been completed and what our expense and capital priorities are to the city. Steve Simon will be attending as well, so we can review with the Parks Department, because ideally as we put in our district needs request, it will be aligned with what Parks supports as well, or what we can advocate for within Parks, so that hopefully the response that we get back to our district needs statement is we agree and this is underway, as opposed to a typical there's no money for it. So that's what we'll be talking about at the July meeting.
And we will be via Zoom, right?
Assume that you'll be in Zoom unless told otherwise.
Okay, so then Steve will be joining us. If we're in person, then he may not be joining us.
Yeah, assume that there will be, at the very minimum, a Zoom option.
Okay. Thank you.
Unless told otherwise. But if you're not subscribed to our newsletter, subscribe so that you'll be informed of all of our meeting locations and times and everything.
So thank you, everybody. And I'm excited to be co-chairing this committee with Judy and having Barry back on the committee as a public member. So thanks, everybody, and have a great evening.